Okay, so now the one thing that I do to lay out my valleys, because on this side we're going to be working from left to right coming out of our valley, I like to get one panel set here so I know that we're straight. Does that look straight to you? And then I'll just lay another panel in my valley like this. Just kind of tuck it right down the center. We'll slide this over in, make sure we're still nice and straight. And now we can go ahead and just scribe a line right down on top and just kind of try to chalk up the chip that's on there. I like to just take an old screwdriver or something and just do something like that if you want to just slide over. So you'll see here all what we did to make our mark. And again, that's why I'll just use like a 16D nail or a screwdriver, just something to etch into there, because a pencil is not going to take, you won't be able to see it very well. You can use a marker, but if you're marking the stone coated side, it doesn't take too many scribes for the stone to rip the felt right out of the pen. Another good option, two other good options are either using an old soapstone, but a crayon actually works really well, like a yellow crayon or something like that. So, but for speed and ease, get an old screwdriver, any kind of sharp object that you can scribe something with, an awl, and now we can just come back and cut it off. There's a couple different ways to run our hips. With our shingle XD, because it's lower profile and our cap sits lower, we can basically just run just like shingles, where you cut and maybe fold one side over the other and then just cap down over the top of it. The other option, and what you would have to do with the shake system, because it's a thicker profile and the cap has more dimension to it, we have to run a 2x2 up the center, and then we can either bend the panel up against that 2x, or we install this channel on each side of our hip and just cut the panel on angle. So this way is a bit more in material costs, but a little bit easier on the application. Why don't you go ahead and just kind of try to cut this flush across our edge here. So we're gonna be, let's just call it here. We can mark and cut. All right. And then again, any sharp edges like this here, I always just try to kind of clean them up so we don't have something blunt. So eventually we'll get this set down the hip. We're gonna have this channel on this side. Let's cut another one to fit the opposite side. Don't get yourself poked there. I got that. Right. So he's got it cut across the back silver part, and then from there I'll just get my snips, kind of fold that up so we can get in there. Run that through, we'll leave our stone coated front nose, okay? Then on the top side, we're gonna come in about 4 inches from right here. Again, I'll just get rid of this little sharp point. This is going into our valley, so it's not, shouldn't show too much, and we'll just get rid of that blunt edge. And then again, I'm not getting out my micrometer and measuring this up. I'm just gonna give it a good eyeball, 4 inches plus, and we'll snip this up to our top edge. And then a few folds like this, and it should shear itself right off, okay? So you don't even have to come back and cut it this way, just a couple snaps and it should pop right off. So that side's good to go. We got our 4 inch on top, 4 inch on the bottom. We're gonna do the same thing going into our gable. How far?
2 inches.
2 inches. And like I mentioned earlier, with the shingle product, because all this is lower profile, when we put these caps down on a hip, we've actually got enough room to not run this and just basically run one side of panel, cut it, run the other side, usually kind of against your prevailing winds. You'd fold that over this way, so if most of your winds come in this direction, we'll cut this side flush, run this side a couple inches long, beat it over, and then we'll just drop the cap down right over the shingles themselves, kind of like asphalt shingles. With the shake, because it's a thicker profile and we've got a thicker leg that sits on here, when we put this down on the roof, there's no way to get good solid beef because you're looking for that contact. If you just had a floating screw in there, you know, wind vibration and things starts to move all that, and over time it loosens up the attachment that you get between the screw head and the piece and starts to move. So you want to make sure you've got good solid beef. So when we get those screws in there, you get more of a compression and a tight hold, and that's where you're going to keep your seal.